Hey guys, TrepChains here. I just want to show my Whirlwind Barbarian today for rat runs. Whirlwind Barbarian is one of the options for running a pickup radius barb for rat runs. I understand there are others, but I run the Whirlwind version, so that's what I'm going to speak about today. So during the Rift, your main jobs are to pick up all the health globes. So the health globes are giving your Rathmas, DPS, Necromancers resource via essence so that they can be powerful. So you need to pick up all those health globes, and to help you with that, one of the key things for running this build is to make sure you've got maximum pickup radius on all your gear, which caps out in seasons at 22 pickup radius. So you can see here I'll just be spinning around picking up globes as I go. You're also providing a bunch of buffs as you're running around that rift. So you're providing Warcry, Veteran's Warning, which gives armor, dodge chance, and move speed via TrepChains, and helps you generate fury as well. You're hitting Ignore Pain, Mob Rule to get damage reduction for your team and immunity to CC effects. You are hitting Threatening Shout Falter, which makes your enemies take increased damage, but also helps you generate fury. And you are hitting Sprint Forced March to provide move speed to yourself and your team. But because you're running all these things, and there are a lot of buffs, both in terms of protection, movement speed, and damage against enemies, you need to make sure you are staying near your Rathmas Necromancers. So your zNecromancer, your Support Necromancer may be a little bit ahead, but your job as the Support Barbarian is to stay with your DPS. Stay with your DPS, okay? So stay near your Rat Necros, collect the globes, which is also helps them out, and provide all those buffs. Now, I only mentioned, I think, 5 skills here so far: Whirlwind, Warcry, Ignore Pain, Threatening Shout, and Sprint. The other skill you'll be running depends on the version of the build you're running. So I'm going to take you briefly through 2 versions. One of those I have in there, Rend, which increases damage against enemies that have been hit by Rend. And the other is Wrath of the Berserker, which helps me as a Barbarian survive. So basically you want to be hitting Ignore Pain whenever it's up, as long as you're near your DPS. You want to be hitting Warcry and Threatening Shout as often as possible. They're generating your fury, and you're using that fury on Warcry and Sprint. Sprint, you want to be hitting as soon as it's almost over its useful life. You don't want to actually spam Sprint, or you'll run out of resource, basically. So that's, I guess, the key things of what we're doing when we're running around the Rift. Picking up globes, providing buffs, particularly to your DPS, so make sure you're near your DPS. Also, you're responsible for picking up those purple globes, as well as obviously the health globes. Make sure you're the one going back and picking up those purple globes. Other things, do not Whirlwind Electrified. So Electrified is something that every time it gets hit, it generates more. If you don't want your Rathma's DPS to die, don't Whirlwind the Electrified. So what you need to do if you see Electrified is just stop whirlwinding and run around, or whirlwind some nearby enemies, not the elites that have Electrified. And yeah, make sure you've got that pickup radius to pick up all the globes. Okay, so now we're going to go back into game and have a bit of a look at what the gear and skill setup looks like to be able to run this Barbarian. Okay, so I'm now on my Barbarian in the game to show you the versions of this build. This version that I'm going to show you first isn't the version I normally run now, but it is the version I'm recommending if you're new to this build. It's a 4-piece waist version of the build, and you see here on the waist set, the 4-piece set gives you 50% damage reduction while you're whirlwinding. So that's really the benefit there, is damage reduction for you while you're playing. It also has the effect of increasing the duration of Rend, and I do run Rend with this version of the build, so that's fine, but I don't end up running it with the other, so it's kind of neither here nor there. Now, I only wear 3 pieces of this, and which 3 pieces can be a bit variable depending on the other legendaries you want to run, but you can see here I've got 3 pieces of waist. In terms of what stats you want on these, it's basically you want cooldown and then really you want survivability. But importantly, you have to have pickup wherever pickup is available. So you really need to get to that 22 pickup radius. So you can see here on my chest piece, I have that 2 pickup yards. So I've got 2 pickup yards radius, and then I've got other survivability stats, in this case strength, fit, regen, life. But resistor would be much better than that life regen, but the pickup radius is number 1. On this piece here, this is quite a good piece, right? Strength, vitality, resistor, and I've got the pickup radius rolled on there. So that's actually a very good piece for this version build. And the gloves here, strength, fit, resistor, cooldown. Cooldown is very important to get your cooldowns down on all the things that you need to be, all the buffs you need to be spamming, and importantly, pickup radius there. So you can see there I've got pickup radius on all of those pieces, as well as cooldown where I can get it, and then lots of survivability. So that's great for what I want on those. You do run Lyric's Crown, and particularly in this build, I'm focusing on cooldown here. Again, you must have that golden health pickup radius as your secondary, so that's critical. I luckily enough had one that I was able to get that at 100%. Your orange stat here is also really important. And then other survivabilities. You can see here I've got intelligence, vitality, resist all. Remembering that intelligence also gives me some resist all. So I get about 74 resist all from that helm, from the intelligence on that helm. Okay, Mantle of Channeling. So this is about damage reduction. So when I'm channeling Whirlwind, I'm taking 25% reduced damage by running this. What you want on this, you need your cooldown on it, and then strength, fit, resist all. Again, survivability. Again, this is quite a good one for this. We're not worried about the orange stat here in the amount, because the amount that changes is only on the increased damage, and you're not doing much damage. That's not your job. The 25% reduced damage is standard. Okay. So belt here, now there are 2 belts on this build, so one is in the cube. I will go to the cube here quickly, but you won't be able to see it properly because of my banner, but I'll show it here. So there's 2 belts you need. You need Tuniac's chain. Again, it's an armor piece. You need that pickup radius on it. So pickup radius on that, and then other survival stats. So you can see here I've got strength, fit, resist all, and life. But the other belt, if you have a better version, is Pride of Cassius. Again, you need to have the pickup radius there. And Pride of Cassius, the orange stat is really important. So it needs to be 6 seconds on that ignore pain. And then again, just like the Tuniac's chain, you want survival stat. Strength, fit, resist all, percent life are great for that. So, sorry, show it here, Pride of Cassius. Strongarm Bracers, so I'm running the Whirlwind version, and via Whirlwind Hurricane it's pulling damage in enemies in, which acts as a knockback. So by wearing strong arms I just get that 30% extra damage happening for my DPS. Keeping in mind I have the pickup radius again on this, absolutely critical, and then other survival stats. You've got to see there I've got useless stats like critical hit chance. Doesn't matter to me, I care about my golden health radius and the fact that my orange stat there is max, but obviously you can get better than this with better survival stats like some resist all or the like. Okay, so I think that's most of the main. Oh, I'm also wearing as a supporting legendary. Now this is an option, right? So I can wear 3 pieces of waists, and what pieces I wear is kind of optional. So I've particularly chosen to wear the illusory boots here. You can see that I definitely have that golden health pickup on the secondary, and then I've got other survival stats, dex, fit, resist, or armor. Great. But you can do other things. So you could wear the waist boots and not wear the waist chest, and you can wear the Aquila cuirass for increased protection, or you could wear the waist boots and not wear the waist gloves and wear something like so by the way, this is Aquila, the orange stat, or I could wear the gloves and Archie's Gaze for more protection. So both of these things I could swap in there and get more protection, keeping in mind I need that golden health pickup, which you can see on the Aquila cuirass, but I haven't rolled it. This is some bad St. Archie's Gauge. I just pulled it up to show the orange stat. So I would need on them, I'd need that golden health pickup, and I'd need a cooldown on those. Would be required to be able to run those. Okay, so jewelry now. Absolutely essential for the build is Rondell's Locket, and this is essential because you can get that 6-yard pickup radius on the secondary. So that's why you want that. And then you can see there I've got some cooldown as well. Attack speed is fine, and Other survival stats, so I've just got strength on that. I'm not too fast. I've got my full radius and I've got my cooldown there, my highest priorities. Rings, so running Oculus Ring as most good supports, ideally you do want that orange stat to be 85%. This one's only 84 at the moment. You cannot get pickup radius on jewelry, so you do not need pickup radius. Well, you can obviously get it on that particular amulet, but you can't get it on rings, so keep that in mind. Cooldown here, great, attack speed helpful, and some protection there with the life. And the other ring, obsidian ring, so again you cannot get pickup radius on this. You want your cooldown and other stuff. You basically roll off the crit hit chance on this, but you're running obsidian ring for the cooldown. Okay, so now all I haven't talked about I think in gear is the weapons. Again, you cannot get pickup radius on this, so that's fine. You'd like them with cooldown. I don't know, I've got some attack speed. I don't think attack speed isn't as critical for this build, but otherwise, like this one, cooldown, you know, strength and fit is great. So there, you're running that Bull Kathos weapon set. So I guess the key things here that you're looking for when you're gearing is that pickup radius, number 1, cooldown, number 2, and then protection. That's really what you're looking for. Okay, so quickly in the cube, I've still got the cube up anyway. Running Ingeom, so Ingeom gives me cooldown when full elite packs are killed, so that helps out. Pride of Cassius I already talked about with the belt because you can switch those out. And Ring of Royal Grandeur here is just to pull up my waist set from the 3-piece that I'm wearing, whichever 3 pieces I choose to wear, to the 4-piece set. Okay, so that's what I'm running. Okay, in terms of gems, you can see here my gems. Cooldown gem in the helm, fantastic. I'm wearing resistance to all in my armor pieces, and that's just to give more survivability there. And life per hit in the gems, just to again help keep me alive. So the legendary gems, esoteric, I personally run esoteric for protection. Running Gogok of Swiftness, particularly for that cooldown. It also gives some attack speed and dodge, but cooldown is critical. And then Efficacious Toxin to be able to give a damage buff to my teammates. So yeah, that's I guess the main gear for the build. So for this version of the build anyway, I'm going to have a quick, didn't want to go to the waypoint, quick look here at skills that I'm running for this. So you can see here I did mention most of these in the gameplay, but Whirlwind Hurricane, so it helps me move along quite quickly, pulling enemies towards me, which is causing that knockback, which works my strong arms. Kind of cool. It also helps me move really easily through enemies. I don't get blocked running Whirlwind. Sprint Force March, so this is gives my whole team movement speed, and this does cost Fury though, so you've got to be a bit careful with it and not accidentally spam it, or you'll run out of Fury. You just got to hit it each time it's about to come off of its active time, and in the presence of your DPS. Keep in mind there's a lot of these buffs you need to be keeping on your DPS, so stay with your DPS. Okay, Warcry Veteran's Warning, again it's giving armor, dodge chance, move speed, together with working with the Chulniak's Chain. So again, it's a buff for your group. You in this case you're generating Fury, so you want to hit this as often as possible to get as much Fury back as possible. Ignore Pain Mob Rule, this is all about survivability, improves the damage reduction of your team and gives them immunity to CC effects. Again, hit it near your team, stay with your DPS. Your zNecro can look after themselves if they want to go too far in front. Threatening Shout Falter. So this is a debuff against our enemies. The enemies take increased damage. So again, it's most effective if you're near your DPS because they're the enemies that are getting killed. But importantly, this generates Fury as well. So you want to be spamming this as much as you can. So spam this skill. And then for this version of the build that I've just showed you, I run Rend Mutilate, so that gives another damage debuff against the enemies, so enemies that I'd put Rend on, and really it's recommended. It does cost Fury as well. You only do it on, say, elite packs, because you don't want to spend all your Fury on Rend. They take 10% more damage. Now, I will note that the other version of the build that I'm going to show you does not have this skill in it. So this is not essential to the build, it's just what I choose to run with this particular version of the build. Okay, so passive skills that I've got going on here. Nerves of Steel, so that's a cheat death. Cheat deaths are always useful in higher Greater Rift content, so good stuff. Animosity, that's increasing our Fury generation. Since we're whirlwinding all the time, that's really helpful. And it helps us with our sprint as well. Now, Pound of Flesh, this basically increases our movement speed as we're picking up those globes. Because we're getting healed by health globes, we're picking up all the globes that the zNec is generating. Inspiring Present, this doubles the duration of our shout. In this case, Threatening Shout and Warcry are what I'm using in this version of the build. In the other version, I am going to remove this skill. Okay, so that's the skill, why we use them. Keeping in mind that we are spamming Warcry and Threatening Shout as often as possible, hitting Sprint as soon as it's about to run out of its active thing. We're whirlwinding like all the time, apart from do not whirlwind the Electrified. Do not whirlwind the Electrified. Okay. Ignore Pain, hitting near our DPS as soon as it's about to come off, or, you know, spam it if you like, I don't care. Rend, if you're using it, just try and hit it on the elites. Sprint, I think I said sprint, hit it when it's about to come off near your DPS. Please be near your DPS so they get all these buffs. Okay, quick look at the Paragon running for this build. So basically, don't run area damage, you're not doing damage, no point adding any extra lag to the game. Get rid of your area damage. If you were doing this prior or lower Paragon, resource cost reduction and life per hit, obviously well above gold finds. You don't need gold find with Greater Rifts. Defense, resist all is fantastic as you're a strength character, which gives you armor. Then you'd be going for % life after that, and then whether it's armor or life regen doesn't matter too much after that. Offense, cooldown reduction, critical, then I'd take attack speed. These two, crit hit chance, crit to hit damage, don't matter. In core, this is what I'm running. Movement speed, important. Obviously, if you have something like your boots, you could take some out here. Max fury, very important, and then I just throw the rest of it into life. Okay, so that's my Paragon. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick to the other version of the build and talk about some of the differences. So this, as I say, is the first version I recommend for beginners. Once you become really comfortable, I recommend ditching the waist set, right? So we ditch the waist set and we put on some XP gear. That's, I guess, the crux of it. Okay, so we have put on XP gear. Let's have a look at this. So I've got no more waist. I do have Canes. So Canes gives me an extra 5% XP at level 17. Now in the description and at the end of this video, I'm going to link my XP video, which explains that this XP does work in Greater Rifts. It just doesn't work on the clothes. So that video will be linked. It includes some Excel spreadsheets. Feel free to watch it and check the numbers if you like. But please note that XP bonuses that I wear here do work within the Greater Rift, just not on the clothes. So on the Canes pieces, I'm trying to get the exact kind of same pieces as before, right? I want that golden health pickup on any secondary, and then I want cooldown if I can get it on the piece, and survivability. So you see there I'll have some cooldown on those gloves, as well as my golden health pickup survivability, and if I haven't managed to get a good stat, there'll be something like a damage stat there, because I haven't got anything better. Right, so those cane sets, you can see they're similarly rolled to the other pieces, it's just I'm wearing Canes now, because, you know, I'm cool like that. Now, because I'm wearing Canes, and Canes is only a 3-piece set, I actually no longer need the Ring of Royal Grandeur in the cube. So in the cube, as part of this build, I've replaced Ring of Royal Grandeur with the Oculus Ring. Wait a second, you're wearing the Oculus Ring before. True. So that means I've got another ring slot. So that's fantastic, because for more XP, I'm wearing a Hellfire Ring. So Hellfire Ring, remembering that on rings I cannot get pickup radius as a secondary. I want some cooldown. That's pretty much it. Cooldown plus some survivability, right? And a socket. So you can see there I've got that 4.5% at level 70 on the secondary of the ring, and I've got some cooldown on there. So that's some more XP. Fantastic. Okay, as I've swapped out to these 3 pieces, I have lost that protection from the waist set. So I have added in more protection here, so I am wearing the Aquila on this build. You can see there, got to have that golden health pickup on there, and then some survivability stat on that one, so I've got some survivability there. I also have more XP stuff in here, right? So that's just the stuff I've done to change around the build. I have an XP gem in the XP gem in my helm, so I've removed some cooldown there and given more XP. So that's 4.1% at level 70, doubled by the helm is 8.2% at level 70. And then one other thing I've done is I've replaced one of my life per hit gems by my gem of ease. So that's not percent, it's a XP per kill buff. So you can see there, I've put in experience by putting on Cane set, putting on a Hellfire Ring, putting a ruby in my helm, and putting a gem of ease in. So one of the other things that I've done here is I've got rid of Rend. So I've got rid of Rend on my skill screen here for more protection. So Rend is out, Wrath of the Berserker is in. You can see there that as well as giving me some dodge chance and movement speed and the like, it also reduces all damage taken by 50%. So I've got a nice survivability buff there. To help this even more, I've actually swapped out Inspiring Presence as well. So I don't get my double shouts anymore, but I do get an increased cooldown on Wrath of the Berserker by 30 seconds to help me keep that up as much as possible and hence stay alive as much as possible. Everything else though is the same, right? So these 2 skills have changed. I'm now running Wrath of the Berserker Striding Giant. I'm now running Boon of Bulkathos. I'm running all the XP gear I mentioned, along with moving my Oculus Ring into my cube to be able to put the Hellfire Ring on there. Keeping in mind my gear is still rolled for pickup radius and protection. That's it. And basically I run that exact same thing through the rest with my team, and overall we get some more XP during the rift. Not on close, but during the rift. Okay, I think that's about it. I hope this has been helpful. Please give it a shot. Please also have a look at my XP video if you want to understand how this XP works a little more. It'll be linked in the description and at the end of the video. Thanks very much for watching, and GG.